Any sort of serious tragic actor, if they're playing Hamlet, they have the fence, the Beecher's Brook ahead of them is to be or not to be, and they just, the audience leans forward. How's he going to say to be? And in The Importance of Being Honest, it's the single word handbag, which was made famous really by Dame Edith Evans, who was in the 1939 production and then in a film version, and she goes handbag like that, and of course I think I can't do it like that.
We'll switch the cameras on because we have a lovely guest in that you need to stare at and look deep into those beautiful eyes and just marvel at the wonder of Sir Stephen Fry.
Yeah. Nice to see you. Thank you very much. Lovely to be here, as always.
It's lovely.
Happy birthday. You finally lived up to your Roman numeral.
That's right. Exactly. Radio X is 10. Yeah. And it's amazing that I'm still here.
You're about to burst into a Sondheim song.
Yes. The thing is, we had a meeting just over 10 years ago, me and my manager at the time, who's not my manager anymore, but still one of my best friends, and we had a big meeting about coming here. And as I walked out of the hotel and we walked down the road, I said to my manager, I said to Holly, I bet you £100 I don't get to the end of this contract. I just don't think it's going to work. And she goes, I'm not taking that bet. And I went, why? She goes, because I absolutely agree. I don't think you'll last. And it's been a decade of us doing this. So
ridiculous, isn't it?
And Johnny Vaughan, the pair of us.
We were just talking about Johnny, actually, in the green room that you give us, which is literally green, lovely green leather seats. He is one of the most remarkable people any of us know, isn't he? His energy, his knowledge, his enthusiasm. He's a boundless puppy. He never stops.
Never.
He's the sweetest, best and most extraordinary figure.
Do you have a message for him if we can send it to him for later?
Sending much love. I bumped into him in the street about a week and a half ago. I was coming off a bicycle. He was getting out of some enormous Mercedes, and he said he'd come and see my play. So I'm holding you to that promise, Johnny.
You are such a pro. You really are.
We just jimmied in my
You've
plug.
Literally gone from Radio X, Happy Birthday, Johnny Vaughan, my play.
That was a masterclass.
Well, it's Oscar Wilde's play. It's not mine, but I'm in it.
I'd love to. It would have been nice for the facade of you. You've only come on the show because you've missed us.
I'm killing two birds with one stone, or hugging two bears with one arm.
So the show is. I mean, this is very right up the Chris Moyles Show street. The Importance of Being Earnest, which is the Oscar Wilde play. It is going to be back in the West End in the latest adaptation, of which there have been many. And you will be playing the role of
Lady Bracknell.
Lady Bracknell. Now, is that traditionally played by a gentleman?
Not necessarily traditionally, no. She's a woman, but it has been on quite a few occasions. David Suchet, 10 or so years ago, played Lady Bracknell. The wonderful British actor who's better known in America than over here, Brian Bedford, played him on Broadway. I did, in the 80s, I did a scene from it with Quentin Crisp playing Lady Bracknell. Yeah, so it's been done. It's not a pantomime dame idea, or that I'm sort of playing her as, as a formidable Victorian aunt. It's not a camp or a drag thing. Right. It just somehow suits the character. She's, because the rest of the cast are young people, well, at least four of them, it's about two pairs of lovers, and they are young and kind of carefree and gay in almost every sense of the word in this production. And she sort of represents the rules of society firmly, trying to bring order to their sort of chaotic splendor.
You look fantastic. We were just looking, and you're right. It's not because you would assume, maybe it's a bit camp and it's a bit panto-damey, but even in the poster there, it's like I wouldn't even know that was you.
No,
good.
I thought the same thing actually.
Yeah. No, that's good.
And who's to your left in that?
To my left is Shobna Gulati, who's playing Miss Prism, and to my right, or camera left, as it were, is Hugh Dennis. You might remember
that
from
might have been
Outnumbered and many other wonderful performances.
He was it Hugh Dennis that was ahead of me on the escalator getting off the tube the other day?
I think it was Hugh Dennis.
Yeah, and I had 40 seconds of staring at his arse.
I shall tell him this evening.
And I thought to myself, because I've seen him a few times before, I've never met him, and he got off we just so happened to get off the same tube station together, and he just went ahead of me on the escalator, and I always leave a little gap, and then of course it starts to rise up, and I literally I am eye level with his with his buttocks.
With the Dennis bottom.
I'm probably the last time.
Yes, it's unlikely to repeat. You never know. You might come to the show and visit him in his dressing room, and who knows?
If I get the timing right, maybe I can repay the favour.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Now, for somebody like me that is... Okay, so as I get older, obviously, I get more and more sophisticated with my tastes. Yeah. You know, I now drink rosé Prosecco.
Well, exactly.
Thank you. For people like myself, I've never seen an Oscar Wilde play. I don't know a lot about the works of Oscar Wilde, but I'm a fan of yours, and you have seemingly good taste. And I would imagine, first of all, my instinct is, I don't think this is for me. And then I see the poster, and then I see that you're in it, and then my brain starts to go, hold on, Chris, you're doing that northern thing where you're like, I don't think Oscar Wilde, this old-fashioned play is not for me. Actually, you're probably going to tell me it's very, very funny.
It is extraordinarily funny, both in story and in language. It never loses its lightness. It's in the air all the time. It's an extraordinary thing that in Queen Victoria's reign, 60 years until our own Queen, the longest reign in British history, more theatres were built than had been built in Britain at any time before, and indeed in Europe. In London alone, dozens and dozens and dozens of theatres. Theatre was the medium. And yet in all that 60 years, the only masterpiece is The Importance of Being Earnest. Even Wilde's other three comedies veer into melodrama and a bit of sentimentality on occasion. The Importance of Being Earnest is like it's a floating bubble of joy. It's absolutely extraordinary. And there is no other play from the period, from the entire 60 years, that is continually remounted. A few years later, there was George Bernard Shaw, Ibsen, Chekhov, a whole new world of drama. But in that 60 years, Wilde was the only one who produced something absolutely magical. He called it himself a delicate bubble of fancy. It teaches us to treat the trivial things in life seriously, and the serious things in life with a sincere and studied triviality. And it is absolutely, it's extraordinary. The three elements of any piece of performance art, or indeed fiction, I guess you could say, are the language, the characters, and the story. And in all of these, there is a brilliance that is just matchless. It was his finest achievement, and there's a tragedy to that, which we don't bring out because I don't think that would be true to the play. But it was premiered, as it happens, I think it was Valentine's Day, 1895, and only a week or so later, Wilde came crashing down. It was an enormous triumph. It was the biggest triumph the Victorian stage had seen. He was feted as the great genius of his age. And then he made the awful mistake of suing the father of his lover. His lover, Lord Alfred Douglas, had a father called the Marquis of Queensberry, whom we might remember for the Queensberry rules of boxing. So you can imagine he was a fierce aristocrat, and he didn't like the fact that his son, Bosie, as Alfred Douglas was called, was consorting with this man, and he left an open card at Wilde's club saying to Oscar Wilde, posing as a sodomite, a word he misspelled, in fact. And Wilde sued him, which was a terrible mistake, because Queensberry's lawyers, instead of just saying, well, he has the right to say that, they sent out private detectives and collected evidence that Wilde had lived a life of same sex. And so the case collapsed. And not only that, everyone said, well, Oscar, you've got to get out of the country, because this was, to say it was against the law, I mean, but he stayed. And was arrested in the Cadogan Hotel. Mr. Wilde, we have come for to take you where felons and criminals dwell. We must ask you to come with us quietly, for this is the Cadogan Hotel. It's a poem by John Betjeman called The Arrest of Oscar Wilde. But and he was sent to prison for 2 years hard labour. And he exiled to Paris. He couldn't, be seen in England, and died aged 46.
Was he 46?
Yeah, only 46. And so this was the
How long did he? Sorry to interrupt. How long did he last after?
He died in 1900.
Right. Okay.
In November the 30th, 1900.
Wow.
And he'd only just turned 46, in fact. His birthday is October the 16th.
I never knew it until I was researching our chat today that, now am I right in saying that the word earnest, is this true?
It was a gay code. It was a code for a gay man.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's continued into the 20th century. The poet W.H. Auden and his friend Christopher Isherwood, who are sort of famous pair of gay figures, they used wonderful words. They would say of someone, is he musical? the one that Isherwood said that was best was just say, is he so? But earnest was the one they used, right. and the last lines of the play, I finally realised for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest.
Wow!
And it's a pun as well because it's all about the name Ernest. The girls won't marry anybody unless their name is Ernest. They have this passion for the name Ernest.
We had a lovely message come in. Well, look at this. Anthony says, "Can Stephen stay? I could listen to him talking about Oscar Wilde all day."
Oh.
Nice.
That's very
hoping to see him on stage. I was very inspired by his Less Travelled book.
Oh, that's
You
nice.
can love Radio X and poetry, and
You
everyone loves
certainly
Stephen Fry, says Heidi.
That's nice.
Thank you very much. That's a lovely message.
It's very funny, says Martha. You should go. Okay, fine, I'll go. And then somebody else asked if you could say a handbag.
This is, any sort of serious tragic actor, if they're playing Hamlet, they have the fence, the Beecher's Brook ahead of them is to be or not to be, and they just, the audience leans forward. How's he going to say to be? And in The Importance of Being Honest, it's the single word handbag, which was made famous really by Dame Edith Evans, who was in the 1939 production and then in a film version, and she goes, handbag, like that, and of course I think I can't do it like that because, and then I get so self-conscious, and in the end what I have to do is just be Lady Bracknell, being astonished by the idea of a handbag and not try and contribute to the history of how a handbag was said.
You could do a different accent every performance.
Yeah.
Scottish, Welsh,
Geordie
Leeds
or something, yeah.
Do you know do you remember the amazingly wonderful actress Irene Handel?
Yes. Metal Mickey.
Yeah, that's right. And
out of all her work.
And the Italian job.
Benny Hill's sister in the Italian job, yes. And she usually played sort of Cockney chars and sort of figures like that.
Yeah.
But she was actually originally Austrian, Handel, like the composer. Oh. And Jonathan Miller did a production of The Importance of Being Honest, and for its out-of-town trial, she played Lady Bracknell as Austrian. Hint big, she said. But they decided in the end it didn't work, so they changed it for the. So there are all kinds of ways of doing these things.
It's the shock of the Jack was found as a baby in a bag, in a handbag.
That's right.
That's the revelation, and then the handbag, and then she goes, handbag. Or however,
that's a good way of doing it. I like that little touch of Manchester in there. A little bit.
This Leeds, if you don't.
I mean Leeds. Of course, I meant wrong side of the
Never Manchester.
I'm so ashamed. Oh dear.
Until I'm the other
like
side of the world.
confusing a New Zealander with an Australian or a Canadian with an American.
Have you ever noticed that's a thing that I discovered years ago? Is the rivalries between towns and cities. So you get Leeds and Manchester who are very close together, and there's a big rivalry there.
Sure is.
But if you go on holiday and you're the other side of the world and you bump into somebody from Manchester, you go, I'm from Leeds. And they go, hey!
Yeah, it's so true.
It's a funny thing, isn't it?
Yep, you're right.
So this play, The Importance of Being Earnest, is going to be in the West End. It's going to run at the Noel Coward Theatre until the 10th of January. I don't know when it starts, but I've got...
Well, we're already in previews.
Good, all
so
right, okay.
The official press night is next Tuesday, the 30th.
Which is a weird... I've never understood the whole preview thing.
Well,
which means it's started, but it's not started yet.
It means that if there is a little bit of a technical hitch in complex shows, there often is a lot of teething program, and the producers, need to get some money back. And the tickets are cheaper, I believe. And
the tickets are for £25,
wow.
which is unbelievable.
It's really worth remembering that. Of course, there are expensive ones down in the stores,
Sure.
but it is possible to do. And one really hopes that drama students and nurses and the kind of people who think I can't afford West End theatre prices realise
Because
that
nobody can.
we do make our absolute utmost effort. Because it's a good theatre. It's got the gods, as they're called, the very top gallery, which is very high. And you can, as Barry Humphries as Edna always used to make wonderful jokes, cling on, darlings. And she used to call it the mantelpiece. All my little ornaments on the mantelpiece. But actually, if you go up there, which I did when they were rehearsing another scene without me, and I looked down, it's a fabulous view.
Yeah.
The set looks like a marvellous doll's house, and you can hear and see perfectly well. But it is a lot cheaper.
If you fancy it, if you go, right, that's it, he's talked me into it. I never thought I would go and see an Oscar Wilde play, but Sir Stephen Fry.
Yes, lest we forget.
Isn't it hilarious? Yeah. So it's on now. Well, it's in previews now, and then it runs till the 10th of January. So go and get your tickets. If you look for earnestonstage.com, you'll be able to book tickets to go and see Stephen Fry in The Importance of Being Earnest. Look at that. Oh, my God, have you just found a view from the...
Oh,
that's
it's a very nice stage, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
It's lovely.
Beautiful theatre.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a clear view.
I don't think I've ever been to that theatre. I don't think I've ever been to the Noel Coward.
It used to be called the Albury, named after Donald Albury, who was a theatrical impresario. But for some time now, I think about 20 years, it's been called the Noel Coward.
Can I talk to you about a few other things?
Oh, please, absolutely.
Do you still have your black cab?
No, I got rid of it about 10 years ago now. It was wonderful when I was living in Islington, and I'll be honest, it was also wonderful before cameras were everywhere. Because it's no question that the bus lanes and other cabs let you into traffic. I used to call it camaraderie. The way they would just go on, mate. Oh, it's you, because they'd draw up alongside and say, avoid the Harrow Road or whatever. And it's a wonderful thing that under black cab. I'm an enormous admirer of them. They take now at least 3 years to get the knowledge. And everyone says, oh, well, you've got GPS, you don't need them. But you do, you really do. But partly their courtesy, the knowledge of London means that, they're better than GPS, frankly, because they always know the best way to go.
Yeah.
And
I always, when I get a black cab in London, because the knowledge to know all the streets, it is unbelievable. You're the mastermind world champion every time.
And it teaches them things. Because I used to actually live in Gibson Square in Islington, and Gibson Square, as it happens, is the first route all cabbies learn is Manor House to Gibson Square. You know that the knowledge is composed of these runs, these routes. And they have to repeat them when they do their appearances and say exactly, comply at the lights, left filter, all this kind of thing, and passing that hospital, or and the very first one is Manor House to Gibson Square. So I would always have these wonderful conversations with cab drivers, because I'd say, oh, Gibson Square, I should know where that is, and then they'd tell their story of how they did the knowledge and how it went.
Did you ever
a lot of them?
Did you ever do Manor Street to Gibson Square?
I went very close, Green Lanes to Gibson Square, which is very, very close. But the really interesting thing is, a lot of them would say, I left school when I was 15. I was told I was not academic, that awful phrase, as if it has any meaning. And I didn't really believe I had much of a brain. And then I started doing the knowledge, and I realized the brain is infinitely elastic. The amount that you can learn is astonishing. And they're very proud of the fact that you have to know more facts to get the knowledge than you do to get a law degree.
Wow.
And some of them are inspired by it. They say, so I thought, oh, bloody hell, I'll teach myself Italian, or I'll learn the form book, or it doesn't really matter. They realised that they could do it.
Isn't their hippocampus bigger than the average person?
Well, it does. I believe that. I've heard that. But it is an inspiring thing to remind everyone. And there are so many ways. Everything that we can regard as quite bad in the world, you could try and leverage to make good. And one of the things that people said, oh, have you seen this thing on Netflix? And I had to confess, I said, the only thing that I watch on Netflix are German things, because I'm trying to sort of brush up my German. I used to love German as a language, and I did it at school, and it gets very rusty. I hadn't been for several years, and if you're not around Germans. But one of the beauties of things like Netflix and all the other streamers is that they have an enormous number of things from other countries, Spanish, German, French, Polish, whatever. And you can watch them in the original language with subtitles.
Yeah.
And I have to say, particularly German. I mean, there's Babylon, Berlin, and there's Dark. I mean, they're amazing programs. I mean, brilliantly made. But you watch them and you find after, a few episodes, you're actually looking at the screen and, I haven't looked at the subtitles for ages. And then you look down because there's a complicated thing. And you're just keeping your brain active and enjoying yourself at the same time. Yeah. It's so easy to do. And you feel this is the best use of some of the... Otherwise, you just, Netflix and a pizza and just sort of binging, you feel it's a bit... You're not really giving yourself... Whereas you can... Yeah,
I feel as though getting my audience to go to see an Oscar Wilde play in the West End is one thing. I don't think I'm going to get them all to start watching Netflix in German.
Well, Spanish then.
Spanish will do it.
So they can go to Ibiza. Well, that's rather outdated, I suppose.
I must say as well... I've just come back from it.
Oh, have you?
Love it. I also love The Morning Show, and I just started watching season 4, I think it is.
Season 4 has just come out.
And I watched the first episode the other day. And I did that thing where, because there's so many great shows now, I watched the end of season 3 to remind myself where I was. And I'm like, I totally forgot you're in it. Because I was watching The Morning Show, which I loved. It's on Apple TV. And I didn't know you were in it. So all of a sudden you just appeared. And I'm
like a rather creepy figure.
Oh, yeah, I don't like him.
No, he's not nice.
And you're very good at it. Because I like you, but I don't like him, which I always think is a good sign of a good actor.
I saw them. They were in town just last week. I did the one show with Reese Witherspoon and Billy Crudup, who is just amazing in the show, and Karen Pittman. And it's a really happy place to shoot, because I know this sounds as if I'm sort of being creepy, but it's almost entirely run by women, which is quite rare in the film. There's the showrunners and the directors and the assistant directors are women, and the two major stars, Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. I nearly said Reese Reese Witherspoon are women, and it makes it for an atmosphere that's very different from the average, rather sort of macho kind of shouty sort of set. And
that's good.
It made it a great pleasure.
Oh, I love it. I love watching it. I can't wait to see the rest of the season. And everybody go. earnestonstage.com is the website you want to go to. earnestonstage.com to go and see The Importance of Being Earnest, running now at the Noel Coward Theatre till the 10th of January, starring Mr. Stephen Fry as Lady Bracknell. Always a pleasure.
Delight. Thank you.
Thank you for coming up.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Chris.
And see you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Stephen Fry.
Thank you.
Radio X.